Wow, I'm waking up and somebody is paying me to write. Is this my life? I can't believe I get to do this. When I was growing up, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would become a writer. I always thought I was going to go to medical school and become a pediatrician. That was the goal. That was what I told my friends. But lo and behold, here I am in my late 30s and I'm a writer and I'm super excited about my professional choice. And so maybe you've been thinking about doing the same thing, right? Becoming a writer. And not a struggling writer, because a lot of the time when you say you're a writer, people equate that with struggling. And I'm here to tell you that there are many writers out there in the world that are not struggling artists, but are thriving and doing well. And in today's video, I'm going to share what I've done up to this point to become the professional writer and well-paid writer that I am. And before we do that, in the comments below, let me know where you're watching this video from. So first of all, maybe I should start with my educational background. So I have degrees in biology, nursing, and I do have a PhD in microbiology and immunology. And the only reason I share that is because of some of the things I'm going to share in this video, some of the background work I did to get to this point, okay? So even though I said earlier on that when I was growing up, it wasn't my vision to become a writer, I do remember very clearly writing little short stories, writing little plays. I wish I had kept those notebooks. I don't know where they are. I don't think even my parents would know where they are. But I remember doing this in, handwritten stories, right? And I never really thought much of it until I grew older. And one of the things that was really consistent about my entire life was that the subject that from kindergarten, or we called it nursery, from nursery all the way up to college, that I always got an A in was English. And I always had good feedback on the things I wrote and so on and so forth. Now, this is not to say that if you don't write good English, you can't become a writer. There are definitely a lot of people who are thriving and they probably got C's in English, so don't worry about that. So then let's fast forward, right? We go from my childhood where there are all these like little clues. I'm, writing little stories. I'm doing well in English all the time. I'm getting really good comments from my teachers on the things I write. Well, in 2012, I remember at that time I was in the middle of grad school and just in a lab, just waiting on my experiment to work. And I all of a sudden stumbled upon the fact that people were blogging for money. And I was like, what? Blogging for money? I thought a blog was just like a diary of people's lives that they put up on the internet. And so I looked into it and I ended up on a YouTube rabbit hole, and I looked into it and found a YouTube channel by a lady called Lisa. I'm going to leave her channel up on the screen somewhere. And she talked about blogging and starting websites and making money from it. And this was in 2012. So this is about 10 years ago now. I mean, at the time I was looking for ways to make extra money. And so I was like, well, let me try this. So I started a blog. It was a faith-based blog. I wrote that for a while. People really enjoyed my writing. I got to a point where maybe about 100 people were coming to the blog a day. And so people were reading it and people would always leave insightful comments on my writing. Then I started a business blog, and that's where things kind of took off. And that business blog was called My Online Biz Journey. And when I started that, I was able to grow that blog to about 500,000 visits in about 3 years. So in a 3-year span, the blog was visited about 500,000 times. And the main thing I was writing on that blog was everything I was learning about social media marketing, everything I was learning about entrepreneurship, and everything I was learning about this whole online world. I would try something and write about it, try something and write about it. So it was a lot of it was a very hodgepodge kind of blog, but it still did quite well. And then, just like Lisa had said in her videos I had been watching in 2012 about blogging, I began to earn money from my blog. So I would make money from Google AdSense, right? I would make money from affiliates. So I would have affiliate links on my blog. People would click on them, and then the company would give me a portion of the sale because I had referred them. I was beginning to I created a course. I wrote an ebook. So I started to make money this way. And I was like, wow, you can make money from writing on a blog and people will click links and people will click on ads and you'll make some money. What? This is an amazing life. And so all through my time in graduate school and towards the end of grad school, I was a blogger. And then came 2015. 2015 meant we moved from, I was done with grad school. So we moved from Philadelphia, PA to California, and things were super expensive. And I decided to start a business. Initially, I started a social media management business that went okay. I was handling social media for local companies. But after a while, I realized as much as I like doing social media for myself, I didn't enjoy doing it for clients. So I shut that down at the beginning of 2017 and decided to take up freelance writing. And let me tell you, my friends, I told you earlier on that I made money from blogging. It was nice, but I really saw my income jump when I began to freelance write, right? And at the time, this was all side income, right? I was in graduate school, and then I went into a postdoctoral fellowship. So I was doing my postdoc and then any money on the side, and freelance writing was bringing in upwards of $1,500, $2,000. When I started doing it full time, made up to $3,000 a month, right? Freelance writing. And this was incredible to me that I could sell my services as a freelance writer and somebody would pay me for an article that I had written. And I got paid anywhere between $50 to up to about $250, $300 per blog to write a blog, right? And it was fantastic, right? And so I continued to do this freelance writing up until 2021. And in 2021, by this point, right, I'm an adjunct professor at a college, and I've been freelance writing all this while. So at that point, I've been freelance writing for a good 4 years, and I got a job with a marketing agency. And within this marketing agency, what I would be doing would be scientific/technical writing, because this marketing agency primarily served the life and health sciences community. And so if you had a life science or health based business, right, because of my educational background, I could use that to write content for them. And something, getting into that job was like my dream job, right? My dream job to be a writer. And I had been a writer, and sometimes here's the thing, when you're a freelance writer, you're still a professional writer. But I think back then I was thinking to myself, okay, it's freelance, right? It's freelance, so maybe it's not as serious as it could be, but it's serious. If you're I know freelance writers who are making six figures. I know freelance writers who are making good money, right? Writing and doing well and taking trips and feeding their family and building wealth off of their writing. And I wanted to do that. So as a freelance writer, I was doing okay. And then in 2021, I decided to jump into the agency life and write there. And I loved everything about my job. I loved the fact that when I woke up in the morning, I was doing stuff I loved. I didn't know I would love writing that much. I know sometimes it gets tedious. Let me not lie. Some days it gets tedious when you are on like the fifth revision of something. It can be tiring. I am not going to be here and tell you that, writing is all nice and ice cream dreams, all these things. No, I'm not going to tell you that. Sometimes it's been hard, right? But I always literally was like, wow, I'm waking up and somebody is paying me to write. Is this my life? And it really was my life. It really was my life that I was waking up to write. And so I worked with the agency for about 1.5 years. And more recently, I have joined a bigger company where, yes, my primary job is writing, but also, I am putting together content and content strategy and being involved in putting together content that allows my team to market themselves and market the products that we have to sell. And so that's, in a nutshell, is the storyline of how I became a professional writer. And I want to share some lessons I've learned on the way with you so that you can apply them on your own journey. So a lot of the time, I realize that when people want to come into writing and writing as a profession, one of the things is we give ourselves a lot of excuses, right? So I've told you about all the things, like I had You know, I even though I wasn't an English major, I did very well in English all the time. My writing was always on point. You know, I wrote little short stories. I have all this education, and sometimes people talk themselves out of becoming a writer because they think, I don't have all that education. I got a C in English and all that. But I'm here to tell you, so there's an author I really enjoy. Her name is Debbie Macomber, and she's written many New York Times bestsellers, right? And one of the things I didn't even add to the story was that recently I've been writing my own books. So I've written a few business books, and I have started writing fiction under a pen name. All right, but let's get back to Debbie's story. I enjoy Debbie Macomber's books, and when I enjoy a writer's work, I try to look them up. So I looked her up, and I remember there was an interview she was on, and she said, you know something, I was dyslexic. That's the first thing. Number two, she got C's in English all the time. And I remember one story in particular where she said, you know, she expressed the interest in becoming a writer, and a high school teacher or some teacher told her that, oh no, you're such a sweet girl, but I don't think you'll ever succeed as a writer. And she has multiple New York Times bestsellers, right? And so it's not about your educational background. It's not about whether you did well in English or not. If you have that for a background, good on you. Like, use that to your advantage. But by all means, don't let the lack of it stand in your way of becoming what you want to become. The second thing is to not talk yourself out of starting and to just get started. Okay, so there have been people that have been in my DMs and who have been like, hey, I want to become a writer. I don't know what the next step to take. I've shared my book with them. I've shared my videos with them. And, you know, they will still come back. I remember this one person specifically used to be in my Instagram DMs and was like, ma'am, can you help me? And I'm like, I have a book on Amazon for $2.99. You can get it. And then she was like, okay, I'll go read it. 6 months later, she comes back. Ma'am, I still can't figure it out. And I'm like, okay, maybe these videos will help you. And then at a point, I realized that even though she had the material, even though she had all the information, she seemed scared to start, right? Because she was thinking ahead, well, what if I fail? Well, what if this doesn't work? And, you know, I've realized that what if I fail is such a horrible way to live, because you are cheating yourself of what you could potentially become. You are cheating yourself of what you could potentially become by saying, what if I start and doesn't work? When I started my blog, my online biz journey, right, and grew it to almost 500,000 visits in over a 3-year span, I never thought when I was starting this blog in 2014 in my tiny apartment with a little baby by my side, right, that this blog was going to become anything. I just bought the domain, and I remember so clearly because that day my husband's friend was in our apartment, and the way our apartment was, there were 2 bedrooms, there's a kitchen, and then there was a living room. That was the whole apartment. And my husband's friend and him were sitting in the couch, the only couch we had. My baby was in some kind of rocker right there. And my husband's friend was like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm starting a blog. And he's like, what are you going to do on the blog? I'm like, I'm going to write about business. And he's like, really? And then what's going to happen? And I'm like, I don't know, but hopefully like people will read it. And I started it and it grew, you know, and that is what gave me the confidence to start pitching for freelance writing jobs. And then the freelance writing is what gave me confidence to apply for the agency job. And then the agency job is what gave me confidence to apply for the job I have now. So everything I have done has sequentially built itself up to get me to where I am today, where I literally go into work today. Like, I was sitting at work, right? And I was like, I can't believe I get to do this. I can't believe I get to do this. And there's a book I'm currently reading called The Secrets of Six-Figure Women. Really good book. There's a chapter. I don't agree with everything in the book, by the way. And most of the time I don't agree with everything in a book, but I take the nuggets out of it. One of the things the author had written in that book was the fact that for a lot of six-figure women, and this woman had interviewed people that were making anywhere from between $100,000 to about $7 million, right? And she was saying that, you know, when she spoke with these people, one of the things that came up often was the fact that some of them, not every one of them, but some of them actually mentioned the fact that they couldn't believe they were getting paid so much money to do something that they loved. And I remember when I read that portion, I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like that's me, right? That's me. I'm getting paid well to write, to do something that a lot of people don't take serious. Sometimes you even say, I'm a writer, and people are like, huh? What? You can get paid for that? I'm like, yes, you can get paid for that, you know? So don't talk yourself out of getting started, and don't be afraid of failure. The next lesson is to continue to invest in yourself. Over the years, I've invested so much in myself. Right? So in 2017, when I started freelance writing, full steam as a side hustle, I had bought a course, and that course was helpful. And then I bought different other courses. I read books. I definitely read a lot of blogs, right? Some of the blogs I used to read included Smart Blogger. I read Copy Blogger. I would read Pat Flynn's blog, Smart Passive Income. And so I read a lot ravenously, sometimes deep into the night. I'd experiment. I'd try things, and built my craft. Essentially, am I a perfect writer? No, I don't think I'm a perfect writer, but I think that all that investment that I've made over the years, I've internalized all those investments. I'm building upon that. I'm continuing to build upon that, right? I don't think I've arrived. I still make mistakes. I've gotten feedback on my work where people have said, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, fix this. So obviously I'm not perfect, but by investing in myself, I've built this dream career, right? And it's unbelievable to me. So don't be afraid to also invest in yourself. I find that a lot of people will always think about, I can Google, I can YouTube, and there's a lot of good free information out there. And on this channel, I try to give you a lot of information that people, honestly, I've seen people charge for some of this stuff. But it's important to invest in yourself because here's the thing. Sometimes that $100 or $200 you may spend. I know. Listen, I know. Sometimes you're thinking, oh, gee, but I don't have the money. I get it. When I was in grad school, I was pretty broke myself, okay? But it starts with a book. It starts with a mini course. It starts with little investments in yourself. And ultimately, as you begin to see your income grow, you invest in yourself a little bit more. And then you see your income grow and you invest in it a little bit more. So currently, right, what am I investing myself in? Currently, I'm actually paying for a membership to be a part of a group of fiction writers that write inspirational fiction, which is the type of fiction I wanted to write, right? And so I started paying for it, right? Now, are there months where I'm like, maybe I should shut off this membership? Of course, there are some months. But because of that membership, I have finished one book and it is on pre-order right now. And then I am almost done with a second book in the same series, right? I'm getting ideas and support for a launch plan that will help me launch my books. I've bought books that are helping me to do this from people that are New York Times and USA, Today bestsellers. And so as I've done that, yes, it's money, but I know I'm going to reap the investment if I take that knowledge and I implement. And that's the thing. I think the thing is that a lot of us, we gain the knowledge or we buy the course and then we think magically the course is going to change things, or we never find the time to actually take in the information. And then even if we do, we don't implement, and so I want to encourage you to invest in yourself. I have courses, I have books. If you haven't checked them out, they're in the description below. Go check them out. They're on the very affordable side, right? It's an investment in yourself and in your future. Because 5 years ago, if you had told me that I would be getting paid for something that almost feels, not quite, almost feels like fun to me, I would not have believed you, but here I am. So it's possible for you to create your dream career as a professional writer. And these 3 tips I just shared with you, they're going to help you to get there. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and let me know if you have any questions about this video in the comments section.